Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Lincoln Riley and the USC Trojans getting it done again on the recruiting trail, landing top 100 national prospect Ryan Pellum, one of the best wide receivers in the 2024 class. And hey, anytime you go up pretty much one-on-one with the Oregon Ducks for this commitment, USC ends up taking it. It's a good feeling for USC. And at the end of the day, if you're an elite wide receiver coming out of high school, there's not many better offenses that you want to go play for than this Lincoln Riley offense, because you're guaranteed a couple things. You're guaranteed, one, you have one of the best offensive-minded coaches in the country calling the offense. You're guaranteed good quarterback play. I haven't seen a team, or a Lincoln Riley coach team, I should say, that doesn't have good quarterback play. And then three, which a lot of other Power 5 teams can't always say. You look at teams like Michigan, my team, or Georgia, they don't always use their wide receivers as dynamic playmakers. USC always does. And so when you're part of the reason why we're never really nervous about Lincoln Riley attracting quarterback play and attracting wide receiver talent is because these guys want to go play in that offense. Now we're going to talk about what Ryan Pellum brings to the table, dive into the film a little bit, and then we're going to talk about what this 2024 class could look like. We'll talk about Taylor Tatum and what's going on there, potentially pivot plays for USC at that running back spot. Now, before we do, again, just want to say thank you to you guys, especially the USC fans. You guys have shown just a ton of love to the boys. So if you do enjoy the updates, you enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Again, USC fans, I can't thank you guys enough for rocking with us. It's been a blast talking ball with you guys in the comment section. So let's get into it with Ryan Pellum. And we're going to turn on the film in a second. The first thing you're going to say when you see Ryan Pellum is he's just smooth, right? Everything he does on the football field, it just seems effortless. And you look at the wide receivers that are making it happen at the next level, or even a guy like Jordan Addison last year. Like, Jordan Addison wasn't the biggest player. He wasn't the fastest player. And when it came time for that NFL draft talk, everyone's saying, oh, he's not that fast. He's not that big. You have concerns. Guess what? The NFL doesn't have that many concerns with a guy like Jordan Addison because he's just smooth. He creates separation. Everything just seems effortlessly. Then you look at some of the top wide receivers in the NFL, a guy like Stephon Diggs, Justin Jefferson. Like, they're not the biggest or the fastest guys, but they're smooth. They run their routes really, really clean, and they create separation. You do have some guys like the Julio Jones or the Tyreek Hill who are just big or really, really fast. But for the most part right now, the wide receivers you see really making it happen at the next level and at the college football level are guys that know how to run routes. They know how to create separation. And that seems to be what Ryan Pellum's game is. And that's why he's a top 100 national prospect coming out of high school. Now, digging into the film, just want to show you guys what I mean a little bit. Ryan Pellum's a dude that what I like most about him, he's not a one-dimensional wide receiver. Like, he has, 11.2 track speed as a freshman in high school. So he hasn't run track as a sophomore, junior. So I don't know what the track times are now, but the last track times I could find, 11.2 as a freshman. I mean, that is some speed. And you see on the football field when you fire up the film, like, he's got the burners. But when he has the ball in his hands or when he's running routes, he just seems like he's totally in control of his body and his movement. And that's the thing that jumps out the most. Like, I'm not saying he doesn't have phenomenal speed, because he certainly does. But he just seems to be a smooth route runner that can create separation, especially working vertically down the field. He tracks the ball extremely well too. But that's what I mean. It just seems effortlessly for this kid. I think I said that right, as a football player. And he's really good working vertically down the field. But you're also going to see elements of his game where he's not just a vertical threat that wants to stretch the field. He's a guy that you can get the ball to him in space, get him some wide receiver screens, and let him go to work with the ball in his hands too, which kind of checks the box. A lot of wide receivers kind of one-dimensional coming out of high school, right? They're either really, really good with the football in their hands in space or really good track stars working vertically down the field. It's a little bit more rare to see wide receivers that have that all-around game. Ryan Pellum, certainly a dude that is just an all-around dog in terms of being a wide receiver. Now you're going to see him a little bit with the ball in his hands, and again, just so smooth, making people miss. And he's got a little bit of dog in him too. Like, he'll finish off that run with some attitude. He when you check out the film, like, there's just so much to like about what Ryan Pellum brings to the table. Really good tracking the football too. Like, never seems uncomfortable when that ball's in the air going 40, 50 yards downfield. He seems really comfortable tracking the ball, which is another thing that I think a lot of people overlook. They get really wrapped up in the track times, and then it's like, okay, does that translate to the football field in terms of if you can work the field vertically, can you also catch the ball in track and football as well? Here we go again with just being smooth and then finishing runs off strong. Like he has kind of that alpha dog in him, which you absolutely love. And again, just a guy that works, sets up the safety, tracks the football very, very comfortably there. I didn't see that one the first go around. I mean, there's just so much to like about what Ryan Pellum brings to the table. Now, I want to talk about what this USC class is looking like right now, and then what it could be. And we've talked to a lot of USC football the last couple of weeks. Now they're sitting with the 11th best class in the country. This will be their 13th commit. So I'm guessing when they add Ryan Pellum into this class, we're going to be talking about a top 10 class in the country. And the first thing I want to say about what USC is doing is it's really rare to see Lincoln or just a head coach in general kind of play both sides, right? You see like a team like Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin just hammering the transfer portal and then kind of just throwing away recruiting out of high school. Lincoln Riley has been one of the most dominant coaches in the transfer portal the last 2 years. He's also doing a phenomenal job recruiting kids out of high school, and having that blend, that does seem like it's the national championship recipe in terms of can you fill in your roster if you have some holes with the transfer portal, but also continue to get guys that you're going to get in the program out of high school and develop them. Xavier Jordan and Ryan Pellum, the two top commits in this class, both at the wide receiver position. We said it, like we not worried about USC getting some wide receivers. I really like these cornerbacks with Marcellus Williams and Dakota Fields. The Jason Zandamela get was massive. And then you have a big Walter Matthews where is Lincoln Riley starting to get the tight end position going a little bit, right? You get Deuce Robinson in the 2023 class. You have Walter Matthews, and a lot of you guys said, hey, you're forgetting about Joey Olsen. I'll throw in Joey Olsen as well. You go up to Oregon and get one of the better tight ends in the country there. More importantly, though, you're sitting as a top 10 class in the country, and this seems like they'll take a decent amount of guys. Let's take a look at who's on USC's list in terms of how this 2024 class is going to shape up at the end of December. One guy I want to talk about who was on campus last weekend, David Pelham from Pennsylvania. Now it's between Michigan, Penn State, and USC. Michigan was kind of in the lead for him. I know him well because I'm a Michigan guy. He's kind of that Big Ten, big body that you want on that defensive line. Although not ranked in the top 500 or the top 250 nationally, that's that kind of body that when you talk about transitioning to the Big Ten, you want a guy with his frame playing on your defensive line. And even if it's just in a depth role, a guy like David Pelham will be a guy that can be a playmaker for USC. And I feel like 24/7 Sports sleeping on him a little because he's got some big size and some really good feet. Now, going back to last weekend, though, and talking about what this class could look like, I could certainly see them adding Draylon Miller to round out that wide receiver group. Now you're talking about two really good tight ends in Walter Matthews and Joey Olsen, and then Draylon Miller, Ryan Pellum, and Xavier Jordan rounding out that pass catcher group. You're not going to take a quarterback, but again, you got Malachi Nelson in the 2023 class, and I'm guessing Lincoln Riley is going to have the pick of his litter when he turns his attention to that 2025 class and seeing what quarterback he's going to want to grab there. Looking at the rest of the guys that I think could add, I want to talk a little bit about Taylor Tatum first, right? Taylor Tatum took his official visit early June. A lot of the reports were he seems to be trending to USC. Then he goes to his official visit at Oklahoma. Now it sounds like Oklahoma is kind of the team to beat in that class. And may I remind you, again, as a Michigan fan, I promise I won't talk too much about Michigan. Taylor Tatum was considered a Michigan lean for a long time. So his recruitment has gone back and forth like a yo-yo. So I'm not counting out Lincoln Riley and USC with Taylor Tatum's commitment, especially when he just had Deuce Robinson, an elite football and baseball player in the 2023 class. I think that connection with Taylor Tatum, who also is going to play baseball where he goes to school, I think USC, I wouldn't count out USC. Xavier Brown, another elite cornerback, I could certainly see joining USC as Dakota Fields and Marcellus Williams. That would be a phenomenal secondary room. And then a couple other guys, Marquise Gallegos, another Michigan guy. I've had a blast talking Michigan football or USC football, and now USC is starting to take all the Michigan guys. Marquise Gallegos committing Tuesday night. It sounds like USC is in a good position for him too. I dove into his film this morning as well. So when he does commit, and if it is to USC, we'll hop on and talk about that as well. But it's looking like USC is probably going to take 17, 18, maybe 19 commits in this class. And the average play, like they are taking a lot of talented guys at a lot of positions of big time impact, addressing not only the trenches, which is something we've talked about in the sense that USC and Lincoln Riley really taking a look at. We're going to the Big Ten. We got to get some big bodies on both sides of the line of scrimmage. You know that the skill talent's going to come for a team like USC, especially on the offense side of the ball. So they're getting that done too. It's turning out to be a very well-rounded class for USC. And if you're a Trojan fan, you're looking at not only this year, that could be a special year. And if you guys have listened to what we think this USC team will look like in 2023, we're very excited. But in terms of transitioning to the Big Ten and kind of keeping that consistency of being a top 5, top 10 team nationally, you're feeling pretty good about where USC stands because they're getting it done on the recruiting trail. They're getting it done in the transfer portal. And this group is young, but very, very talented. So the future is bright for USC as well. Again, appreciate the support you guys are showing. Wanted to hop on, give a quick update about Ryan Pellum and USC continuing to build a very strong class in 2024. Appreciate the USC fans for rocking with the boys as usual. You guys have been absolutely awesome. So if you do enjoy the updates, you enjoy the content, lock in, subscribe to the channel. We appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to y'all later.